just learning, education, and hopefully maybe bringing in some other, professional folks that know more than I know, about certain topics that we might be covering. So, again, hopefully just getting us started and starting the awareness. But we do welcome you. I'm the IT director here at Kendall, if you don't already know me, Wayne Ferguson. So we just wanted to start off with a few questions here, just to kind of see where people are. And I think I'm probably going to know the majority of the answers to these questions, but just to start off with. So how many people own personal computers, and that does include smartphones? So pretty overwhelming response, right? How many people have antivirus software installed on their computers? Most of you do. That's great. How many people have external hard drives to back up their personal data, photos, recipes, documents, emails, or cloud-based backup services? Okay. So numbers went down a little bit there. So that's one of the things that, maybe we have a session on. Like, how do you do that? If you don't know, you don't know what you don't know. So maybe we need to have a session on how do you back up your data? What are the options? That kind of thing. How many people keep their personal computing devices locked with a password or a PIN? It's another big one. I mean, this is probably going to be one that I'll stress on just a little bit today, just because of recent events that we've had to deal with. But we'll pause here for a minute. We threw a little bit of trivia in just to kind of keep us jolly. Which of the following is a strong password practice? A, using the same password for multiple accounts. Glad you are laughing. Including personal information like your birthday in a password. C, creating a password with a combination of letters, numbers, and special characters. Or D, creating a password that is easy to guess, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very good. The answer is, of course, C. Create a password with a combination of letters, numbers, and special characters. Bruce had shared something with the presentation that he had been to, and I thought was really interesting. And we're going to share this too out on the Katie out on Katie web, so you guys can see that. There's a lot of good, useful information in the presentation that he shared with me. But one of the things was on passwords. So statistics have shown that the time that it takes for a hacker to crack a password, if it's 4 to 5 characters, even if you've got upper and lowercase and number and all in it, instantly they can crack it. We're recommending a minimum of 11. So if you've got 11 characters, and I know it's hard, but if you've got 11 characters in your password, and again, you want a combination of upper, lowercase, number, special character, 400 years is going to take them to crack that password. So that's a huge, huge deal. And thinking, of recent events here, Jan mentioned earlier, we just been through all this, trying to out this ransomware attack that we experienced here at Kendall, through the corporation of Kendall. And ultimately, they got in through, a password, an admin credential that was not, a password that should have been. And unfortunately, one of the practices that we had here was we had that same admin account shared throughout many servers. So that's one of the practices that we put in place now, that everyone's got a different password. So if you get in, it stops in one place instead of spread. So passwords are a huge, huge, huge deal in helping to protect ourselves. So make sure you have good password schemes. So we went back and forth on this, but we thought the word responsibility was a little strong, and we don't want to. So we took that and we changed this around a little bit. And so another way to put this is we wanted to say what Kendall provides, and then what you guys are providing for yourselves. details. So Kindle provides recommendations on managing personal devices. We don't own your devices. You do whatever you want with your devices. So therefore, we just offer recommendations and help with your personal devices. That's why they're called, personal devices. Kindle also provides network infrastructure and access to the internet. One of the ways that we do that is through the Lexington WPN network, which you all are hopefully familiar with, that you connect to every day. And so, for those of you who are not familiar with the Lexington WPN network or curious how that works, it is WPN stands for Wireless Private Network. So the WPN isolates all devices to one resident household private network. There is one private network per household. The network will be accessed by password issued for each resident. It's important not to share that password because that's where all your personal devices live, how you get to those via that credential. So you could be setting in here and print to your home printer. It's not going to print to somebody else's home printer, it's going to print to yours because it's associating that password. So that's how the network works as you're connecting to. And this is an illustration. Let's see, I think I got a pointer. So you can see, we've got what's called a wireless access point. I'm trying to look in here. I think this one's hidden in here, but it's just a little box. Many of them are in your attic spaces. Some of them are down in your actual homes. But that is how we communicate. Those are connected back to switches, they connect back to other switches, and to routers, and then out to the internet. So this is how we connect. So as you can imagine, there's many wireless access points that we're responsible for. There's many switches that we're responsible for, and keeping all of those up to date, firmware up to date, keeps us really busy. Just managing that network. But this is just showing, your personal password here, and that's what allows you to talk, to the network in your home and your devices. Another trivia question. So, what is a virus? A bacteria that affects your computers. B, a program that speeds up computers. C, a computer program that can replicate and harm your computer files, or D, an internet connection issue.
C.
Awesome, you guys are doing great. So, talk a little bit about what Kindle is providing. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about what you guys are providing, and maybe a lot of you don't know that you're to be providing that for yourselves. So that's why we want to make sure that we're clear in getting this communication out. So. Many of you did say you have our antivirus software, which is great because you all should. If you have any kind of personal computer, you're talking on the internet, it's a must. You got to have an antivirus software program on there. If you don't currently, and you want to learn more about that, how do I get signed up for that? How do I get it installed and working on my computer? Those are the kinds of sessions that we want to have from here on. So we would have a session just on antivirus, the different ones out there, what's available to you, and then how to get it up and running. And they can do different things too. They've got extensions where they'll work in your web browsers, so you're safe searching on the internet. So really good information there that we need to share with you guys, and that would be a separate session. Software, hardware updates, Windows, iOS, which would be for Apple, Android. All of these softwares require updates. So most people just set that to automatically update. You don't have to worry about it. It does it for you. But just be mindful of that. Make sure that you're keeping your computer systems up to date with all your software. Spam filters. Does anybody currently have spam filters set up on their email accounts? Okay, so many of you do, many of you don't, but that's another, session that we can have. Like how do we safeguard ourselves when we're working with email? How do we put spam filters on? What is phishing? And we'll get to that a little bit. I think it's one of the last slides, but that's actually going to be the next session that we're going to focus on is email. So we're going to talk about phishing. We're going to talk about spam filters. VPN. Some of you know what that is. If you're doing online banking, that kind of thing. It's a virtual private network. It's an encryption tunnel that's set up, so you can do secure transactions. It's essentially, hiding yourselves over the internet, which is hiding your presence over the internet, which is a good thing. It's encrypting that so people can't see who you are. So, not needed in every situation, but if you are doing, any kind of online banking, that kind of thing with sensitive information, recommend that you, use a VPN service. So again, that's another session that we can have. We can talk about how do I do that? What are the providers? How do I get that going? Computer backups. With a physical, like external hard drive or cloud-based service. How many people in the room are currently backing up that you know of? That's a good number, yes. That's great. For those of you that are not, I do really highly recommend figuring that out. Like whether you want to use an online service or whether you just want to use a physical attached, hard drive to back your data up. And again, another session we can have, and we could, teach you on how to do that. What's the best options for me, but backups along with passwords extremely important. Because again, in our situation, with this ransomware attack, if we wouldn't have backups, we'd be done. Because that's what they do. So ransomware, they come in and they get to all your files, they encrypt all your files, and they leave you a nice little note that says if you want these files unencrypted so you can use them again, you gotta pay us so much money or whatever they want. So, if you don't want to do that, you don't want to play that game, you're only thing you can do is revert to your backups and restore. So it's a really nasty game, and so really to be aware of that and make sure that if you're not currently, backing up your systems and your important, information, definitely something you want to think about. Again, this is just a reminder, frauds and scams. I mean, the latest one we just got hit with was, the name of it was Ransom Hub. So, and again, just really ugly. I mean, they really come in, they know what they're doing, they're very savvy, and they can wreck you really quickly. And
what country were they in?
don't know. Yeah. And I don't know that we will know, our forensics team and those folks are still working through all the details of that. They haven't given us a finalized report yet, but we're hoping to glean some of that information. But we're not the first target they've hit. They've hit any other large corporations. Bank frauds, again, just reminders. Telemarketer frauds, let those calls go to your answer machines. It's important. They'll leave a message and you call them back. Just a reminder of that. Email frauds. I think the latest one we had seen was the Publishers Clearinghouse. Again, just be really conscious and aware, really scanning these emails. Because they're really tricky. They're really getting pretty savvy about just. It could just be one letter off in a domain name or something, and you just, first glance, it's, oh yeah, that's legitimate, or no, it's not. And you click on a link, or, and then it starts. So just be real mindful of, emails you're getting, phone calls you're getting. Know your risk factors. Let's see.
Wayne,
Yes, sir.
this would link to the email frauds. I get emails from two people that one I know if I get it, it's a fraud. The other one, I look carefully to see who sent me the email.
Right.
But the one that I know is a fraud is actually a Kendall resident, and I know this person does not send stuff.
Okay.
So be careful of that sort of thing. And they usually say, I've got photos that you need to see.
Right, and so those are clues, right, that, yeah, it's not legit, and it's not really coming from that person. And so, definitely want to verify in that case, you know, if you see something like that, you know it's not right, just, you know, contact the person and make sure. And then it's also helpful to let them know that somebody has got their information, they're spoofing them, right? And I just put some helpful links on here. So this is just news on all the latest scams and everything out there. And then, you know, if you are, you know, a victim, the FBI Gov is a really helpful, all kinds of information out there on how to help. The presentation that Bruce sent me has a lot of really good links in it as well. So again, we're going to try to we can post both of these up on Katie for you guys. So you can, hopefully as you go in and click on the links, you don't have to worry about writing these down. So, how can residents help? Stay engaged, participate in learning sessions, you know, and with that too, if there's things that you guys want to learn about or want more education on, you know, in the technology world, let us know. And again, if I don't have that expertise, then maybe we can reach out, find it, bring them in, and they can do a session with us. So stay engaged, participate in these learning sessions, and help us help you. Keep personal computing equipment up to date, you know, really important. Because that's, you know, that's how these hackers are getting in. They're just looking for any little crack, any little vulnerability, and that's how they're getting in. So, and it's they know people are just lazy, and they're out there surfing, you know, and they're not updating their stuff, and they know that. So they're on the prowl. So, you know, if you're gonna be online, you're gonna be computing, you know, just really make sure that you're keeping your computers, all of your computer equipment up to date. Yes.
How did the ransomware people get in to the K-Corp IT?
Yeah, again, we think that was, I think they cracked an admin password, and the admin credential had access to many.
Everything.
Yeah, right. Sorry.
I had a question about backing up. If one is backing up onto the cloud, should one also back up onto an external drive? Is that necessary, or?
I mean, I would, and Burl and I was talking about this before the meeting started, you know, personally, I mean, anything that's important to me, I'm backing up and I'm unplugging it. Because I know I've got a copy of it offline. So offline backups are really important for those, you know, your most important data.
I was concerned about our library database and that, so I'll talk with you later.
Right, yeah, we can talk about that, yeah, thank you.
When you say personal computing equipment up to date, Elsa's computer is not exact, it's ready to be in computer Kendall.
Okay.
I think you mean the computer software more than the hardware.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, and with our infrastructure, I mean, we're, it's firmware.
Part of me thinks
At
that
times
all
hardware.
computer's gonna be less likely to be hacked because it's so old. Is that a misconception?
Yeah. Most
So I
definitely.
think-
Yes. Yeah, so for some people, yes, in your case, you may just want to go ahead and get a computer. And that's the other thing, too, we've been talking to some folks that they're operating on really, really old, iPads, they won't go any further, you can't update it to the latest iOS software. So in those cases, yes, I would dispose of those, and, when I say dispose of those, there's due process of that too. And that's something else that we could have a session on, or if you guys, have, devices that you're wanting to dispose of because it's old, you're getting a new computer, definitely consult with us. But it'd be nice if we could have a whole session on that as well. Make sure your data is destroyed off that old device before you donate it, or, very, very important, because you don't want to pass your data around. And our software backups, report suspicious behavior as you see things, like this spoofing incident, Burl, please let us know so we can let people know, spread the word that we're seeing this kind of activity. Please don't connect this email, don't click on the links, et cetera, because we know it's bad, so the more that we can share, the better off we're all gonna be. Strong passwords, can't harp on that enough, that's a big one.
Password manager software?
Yes, thank you, yep. I had that on here, I think it back off. So, to manage your passwords, I know, we're all, we've got different ways we're doing that, writing in our little black books, shoving in our wallets, you lose your wallet, somebody's got all your stuff, so, it's not a great idea. There are programs out there such as Keeper is one that we use, it's really good, but there's several others out there too that are good, that will manage those passwords for you. It's like a password vault to where you've got one master password to get into the vault, and then you can create several passwords within there for all your different accounts.
So that means that you don't have to remember, or you don't.
Right. Yeah, that's the whole idea, because you got 20 different accounts, 20 different passwords, and, yeah. And then the other thing is, you don't want to have the same password, right, for all your accounts. You want to have different passwords to make it harder, so, yeah, password vault is really helpful. Yeah. Isn't it?
Well, then what if the password keeper is hacked? Aren't you really better off writing it on a piece of paper and sticking it in a book? All your passwords, instead of having a password keeper? Because couldn't the password keeper be hacked and then?
It could. You can have them local too. So you can do a local software if you don't want to do the online vault. Yes, ma'am.
If you say that you have 11 digits in there, it's gonna take them 400 years, why would you bother to have multiple passwords if you have one that is that strong?
Right. Well, I mean, it's just, if somebody were to get it, then, like, if you had it somewhere where somebody got it, then they would try that on all your accounts.
Wayne, also, if that same password you use across multiple accounts, let's say somebody hacks into Amazon and they get a list of all the users and passwords, they'll then take your email account and try it against
Right.
all these other ones using that same 11-digit password. So that's the disadvantage of using the same password is that you're storing it in multiple different vendors, and they can, if one of those vendors get hacked, then your other accounts are at risk.
Right, yeah, they're
Okay,
gonna take it and try.
you've just made my life more difficult.
That's my job.
Yeah, we don't want to do that, but unfortunately, that's the world we live in today. So we're just trying to figure out how we can help and how we can educate on how to help.
This is back to a really basic question, but I don't know if I want to ask what is a worst case scenario, but I mean, we are not all people who have gazillions of dollars that somebody wants our wants what we have, what do they want from us and what can they get from us? What is the bad things that can happen to an individual, not a company? We saw all the bad stuff that happened with, you know, the Kendall system going down, but, you know, what about, you know, what do they want? What's gonna happen?
I mean, anything they can use, I mean, to, you know, ultimately, you know, funds, I mean, you know, the access to your bank, you know, but your ID, you know, social security information. Yeah, a lot of this, it is just nuisance, but there are some that are really savvy, they're really after, you know, after funds and after your identity, so they can use it for other means. Yeah.
I guess I just always figure, I'm the little fish, they're gonna go find somebody, they're gonna go hack
Yeah,
Elon Musk.
not necessarily,
No.
yeah. Yeah, not necessarily.
If they can get into your bank account, they could sign you up for $150,000 loan and then walk away and let you have fun. Just, that's the sort of thing that can go way beyond what your actual assets are.
Right.
Or they'll sign you up for a multitude of credit cards, use those credit cards very quickly,
Yeah.
and having drained your accounts plus ruined your credit,
Right.
move on. So they're little people, because we oftentimes don't pay attention. You know, how
Right,
many of
right.
us look at every line on our credit card bill every single month?
And, yeah, and it's not just you too, you know, because what do you store on your computer, you know, that's the thing, you know, it's like, they may get access to, I don't know, what you have on you, you know, your kids' information, you know, it could just chain reaction from there, so, and none of us want that.
If you, use a password key, I can't remember what you call it exactly.
Keepers is
A
one, yeah.
keeper, yeah. But then you change your password on something that you have in that password key. How do you, this is what happened to me. My son put on a password key, they scored it off. Then I had to change a password to like a bank account or something.
Right.
Then I couldn't get it to my bank account. How do I change the password?
Yeah, most of the programs will have like a way to get back in, so they'll, you know, when you set up your account, you've got to go through and they'll ask you a series of questions, and so to unlock it, you would have to go back to your information and, you know, supply that information to reset your password. But there's a process for that's built in when you set up your account.
Is that me? Or-
Yes, sir.
It's also, with a password manager, I use LastPass rather than
Right.
I use LastPass and have used it for years. And I've got about 80 passwords in there, because every one of my accounts is a unique password of 15 to 18 letters, characters, and numbers.
But then what happens if you change one of those?
I go back into my password, I go back into LastPass, and I can edit anything. So I update my passwords usually annually. And so I'll make a note, you know, make the change, and once inside that manager, it's like any file. You can change line by line different items. And so it's always available, as long as you remember that master password.
That's true.
The password manager I use, if I change a password on Amazon or whatever, it asks me, do you want this to be updated in one password?
Oh, your password key
The
does.
password manager does that. I mean, it asks, do you want it updated when you change it?
Like Google shape, you know, or Firefox use, if they do the passwords, then you don't have to have the password manager.
Right.
A good session.
Yeah, another good session. Yes, sir.
I recently got a new computer in order to have Windows 11 because Windows 10 will drop out of circulation here pretty soon. And on my Windows 10, we have several Windows 10 computers at home. They're all running Norton antivirus plus the upgrade part of it. But I've been told by people who know that Windows 11 has a built-in antivirus and that you don't need to have something like Norton. Is that right?
Yeah, Defender,
Yeah.
but, yeah, and that's, again, you know, it has some good points, some bad points, you know, so there's some better ones out there while people are choosing to go a different route. But again, that's something that we can do a session on. We've got some stuff where you can see kind of some comparisons and, you know, give you some information on making a decision.
Well, a follow-up on that, I still have the ability to add Norton to my new Windows 11 because I have multiple contracts with it, whatever. But I've been told that it would interfere with Defender, that they would fight each other or somehow interfere with each other if I did that.
No. Norton knows how to get along with Defender.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you can work with Defender. Yeah, and Norton's been around for a long time. You know, it's one of the ones that are, most people are ranking, you know, a little higher on the list and probably even above Defender. But we can definitely get into, take a deeper dive into that, you know, into a separate session, yeah. Sorry.
Questions? Wayne,
Oh,
question?
sorry, yes, ma'am.
You talk about sessions for us learning. Can you sort of describe how that's going to work and where, how much hands-on will be done? What are you thinking?
Yeah, and so we, our committee and I were discussing that, as well. And, you know, for here, you know, again, it comes down to resources. You know, we just don't have, you know, a full IT team here at Kendall. You know, so we're just trying to provide, you know, information to you. And our thought was, you know, just try to break it down into different chunks and do, you know, half-hour to hour sessions and just, you know, share that information with you. If we want, you know, like we had discussed, maybe bringing in some, you know, professional educators and doing, you know, some deeper dives and maybe doing some hands-on, you know, doing computer labs. I mean, it could be an option. I mean, that's something we'd have to discuss, you know. We'd obviously have to discuss that with Jan too, and see if that's something that we could put together. But definitely not out of the question. Strong passwords, pop-ups. Pop-ups are another one, you know, you guys will see these pop-ups from time to time on your screens. Again, you know, just ignore them, don't click, get in touch with us, let us take a look and see what's going on. Most of the time, you know, they're a nuisance, but again, a lot of times they're phishing, they're trying to get you to click, so, you know, they can do more damage, get your information. So be aware of pop-ups as well. How can Kindle help? Maintain our network infrastructure. You know, as I mentioned, we've got a lot of hardware here, a lot of software that we're busy trying to make sure that we've got everything up to date and running well. So that does keep us busy. Stay informed, you know, for us, you know, stay abreast of the latest threat activity out there so we can share it with you guys and try to protect against it. Improved communication, one of the things that, has been brought up before, even before I came, was mass communication system. And I think we've tried with Status Solutions with their product, and it's not been great. So Kendall Corporation is currently evaluating some mass communication products. So we're hoping to get some information back soon on, what maybe are, some possible solutions out there for mass communication system, and we can get one deployed soon. But more to come on that. And then again, just, provide information on cybersecurity is what we're trying to do, with, continued sessions and, protecting ourselves. I mean, that's the biggest thing that we can do, is go through all the things that you can do, make sure that you're, using spam filters, so the stuff's not coming in as much, you're not seeing it, so you don't have to worry about it, you're not gonna click on it. Making sure your software is up to date, antivirus is up to date, again, so attacks aren't coming in. Anything that we can do to protect ourselves and just kind of stay on the defense mode, is the best thing that we can do right now. So the next session I mentioned, and I don't know that it will be immediately following the next RA meeting. We've had some discussion on that. I'm actually supposed to be in core leadership team now, so we're backing that up to RA. So it may be a different date and time, or maybe before the RA meeting. So we'll try to get a date time figured out for. I'd like to, get that on the schedule so we can kind of get in a rhythm of it's gonna be like every month at this date and time, or, but we'll try to work on the schedule. But the next one will be, email best practices, so we'll dig in a little deeper, just focus our time on that, instead of a multitude of things, so.
Thank you.
Questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Beneficial?
Yes.
Okay. We want to continue? Thank you guys, and, appreciate y'all attending, and we want to keep this going. I want to keep it positive and helpful, so any ways that we can, help you guys, then that's what we want to do. So thank y'all.
Notice